Hey, what's up everyone? We're back here at the garage working on the truck again. Today we are going to get those brackets all smoothed out and opened up to fit the rear end housing, which is right there. So I got these 4 brackets and these 2. First I'm going to flap wheel them, clean them up, and then I got to open them up to the bigger size of the rear end housing. Start getting the rear end in there. So yeah, let's get to work. Alright, so I'm just going to be using the grinder with flap wheel. I actually went and bought a whole bunch more. And I'm just going to smooth all these out. So no point in videoing any of that. But I'll smooth out the welds and then I'll show you what I'm going to do to figure out how much I have to cut off of or grind off of this part here. So here's these brackets. They turn out pretty nice. And like I said, I just have to open them up. And so these ones I also ground, and what I did is I put them together and then I marked this black mark. That's how much needs to be ground so that it'll sit in the bigger tube. So now that I have them all together, I can do them all at the same time. Should go faster and get them all nice and even. And then I'll do these ones and then they'll be ready to start fitting up on the rear end there. As you can see, it's going to take a while, but it's getting there. Just have to keep grinding away at it until it fits in there. Now it fits in there. Perfect. So those are pretty much ready to go. Once I'm putting them on, each individual one, I can kind of clean it up a bit if I have to, but it's looking pretty good. Now I got to do these ones. There they are. That's, of course, they go on like here, but they fit the tubes perfect. These were super easy because the metal is thin. You know, it's not thick like those other, those ones there are pretty thick. So that took a while, but these were pretty fast. So now the next thing I have to do is this brace right here. It bolts to the back of the rear end cover. So obviously this is for a 7.5. So what I have to do first, one of the first things I got to do is there's a broken bolt right there. So I have to get that broken bolt out. And then I'm gonna have to fit this. I'll probably fit it to the rear end cover so that I can figure out where the holes need to be drilled. And hopefully I can just drill different holes from those holes. I know the middle one's good, it lines up, but then the other ones might not. Or I might have to move it up or down a little bit to get more meat on there. So I'm gonna figure that out first. Probably get that broken bolt out first so that I have all the holes good, and to do that I'll have to TIG weld a nut onto there, and then hopefully the broken part will come out. I think I showed this in a previous video about getting the exhaust manifold bolts out of the cylinder head. So it's kind of the same idea. There's the broken bolt. I'm going to put this nut on here. There's a little bit sticking out still, and then I'm going to weld the nut and hopefully the heat will loosen it enough to come out. Now the only issue here is because this is steel, other than the heads are aluminum, I could accidentally weld the nut right to the rear end housing, so hopefully that's not going to happen, but we'll weld it and see what happens. I guess maybe I should go back and watch the last video, because I remember in the last video what I did is I welded a washer first to the actual piece, then I welded the nut to the washer. Otherwise it's hard to get down inside the nut. So basically I'm going to weld that to there. Then I'll throw this on top and I'll weld it to that. So I have something to grab onto. So once it's welded on, and there we go. There, broken bolt out. That's a good way if you don't want to have to drill it. Just do it like that. I mean, you could MIG weld it too. It doesn't have to be a TIG. Alright, so now we got that off. Now we can fit the cover to that brace. The first thing I notice, I put the cover up there and it doesn't fit because it hits here, which isn't surprising because this is cut out for a 7.5. So I'm going to have to take the cutoff wheel or the flap wheel, and I'm going to have to open this up until the cover fits. There's these little spacers kind of go between this bracket. I think pretty much pretty much those go, you know, so that it's slightly above the cover, like that. So I have to, you know, there's like this and this. So I'm gonna have to grind this enough so that the cover fits nice here. So now I'll have to get the flap wheel and just open this up a bit. Ground that down. Now there's a little bit of clearance, all nice. It's laying flat on those things. Then I got it in with the center bolt, and then I took a marker and just, and then we'll see where our holes are. I guess I can just take this off now. That hole should be okay. That hole should be okay. It's not quite on those. That one, I could probably just open that hole up. And this one, just open up the hole bigger maybe. And then, like I said, these ones I'll just drill new holes. And then I can weld these holes up after. I could always weld this hole up afterwards too. Or I could weld these and then re-drill them right next to the hole. What I ended up doing is bolting it on with one bolt, like this, making sure that it was straight. And then I just center punch the holes. I might actually be able to drill these ones, because I think now that I've got it tightened down, it's actually a little different spot than where I had kind of marked it with the marker. So I'm gonna drill these and see what happens. So here you can see I drilled the extra holes here and here. No big deal. That one was there. And then these are the two smaller ones here are the holes. So this one broke the thing open. This one didn't. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to weld these holes up, and then I'll have to go back through there and kind of drill the hole out again to clean it up. There it is mounted. The only issue I'm having is this hole right here is off by a tiny bit. So these ones all went no problem. This one, it's just, so I'm just going to have to oval the hole like tiny bit to get it to go. It almost goes, but I don't want to strip it, so. And that's it mounted. I've also noticed that probably going to have to cut that off, which is no big deal because obviously it's not really needed, but as you can see the bar is hitting right there, so I think that may be an issue, so I'll probably just hack that off of there. The next thing I'm going to do is put the bags, bolt the bags back in with these brackets connected. Then I can put the rear end in with the upper bars onto these mounts here, and then kind of put everything into position with the floor jack. And then after that I can put the lower bars on with the with these on, and line everything up and tack it in, and then pull it out once I know everything's good and weld it all up. All right, so I got the guys to help me, and I put the rear end in. I stuck it in there for mock-up, got the bags on. Of course, everything's kind of not exactly where it needs to be yet. It has to be adjusted around, but it's kind of in there. Next, I'll have to put those lower bars on so that I can line those up. That's going to be all for tonight, so we'll continue this tomorrow, and we'll try to get this rear end welded in here. So we're out here again working on the truck. Lowered the rear end down. I have to take this little bracket off right here. Same with, there's one on the other side, and then I'm gonna have to get a cutoff wheel, and at least right now I got to cut this one nub or whatever you want to call it off. I'll probably cut them both off, but for now I just got to cut the one off because it's hitting that upper bar. Nice and smooth. Same with this side, and then here I just cut this piece off. Here's the piece, just with the cutoff wheel, and then I might go back and cut this one off. It's not really necessary. I don't know. This for the ABS, I'll probably just leave it. Once I pull the rear end out, I'll smooth this out a little more, and maybe I'll cut this side off and whatever, just so it's not there anymore. Now I'll jack it up and get it fitted up on stands, and then I can put the lower bars on and hopefully line everything up and get it ready to tack everything together. I've been playing around with it a little bit, just adjusting it. I mean, I think I got it pretty much centered now in this opening. Once I get the box back on, if the wheelbase is a little off, I can always adjust it by these bars go in and out, and so do the lower ones, so I can do some adjustment there. This is pretty much where I had the other rear end, but just in case it's a little off because the housing is a little different, I can I think this part of the housing here is a little thicker, so it pushes it back a tiny bit, but I still think it should be okay. But any fine adjustments, the issue with this, because it has such a long bar on the bottom and a short bar on top, it's kind of like a G-body, a Malibu or Cutlass or something. When you lower it, the wheelbase actually kind of rolls forward a little bit. So if you ever see pictures of my truck where it's laid out, the wheels actually look forward in the wheel opening. They don't look centered. And then when it's at ride height, then it's centered. So it's just kind of something you have to live with this style of bar. But like I said, I have it in now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna tack it on all 4 corners of this bar, all 4 corners of that bar, and then I can run it through its motion and kind of see how it is. But like I said, I can adjust the length, and I can also kind of adjust the pinion by moving these bars in and out, back ones and up. It'll tilt the pinion wherever I want it. So yeah, hopefully she should be good. So now you can kind of see, if you look at it, you can see how much it's kind of rolled forward in the opening. And that's what it does when you lift the bars up all the way. So now I'm gonna tack weld these airbag brackets on right here. Tack weld these on. And then after that, I'm gonna have to start looking at the shock brackets. That'll kind of be my next thing. Once I can figure that out, then I can pull the diff out and weld it all up. All right, so now I took these top bars off and I took them apart, cleaned them all up, put anti-seize on here. So now I can adjust these, and I actually did lengthen them a little bit. And then I took the lower bars off, and they're actually over there, and they're pretty rusty because they've been on there a long time, like rusty in the threads. So I sprayed them with WD-40. I'm gonna let it soak in probably overnight, and hopefully get those loose, and then I'll be able to do any fine adjustments of the wheelbase and stuff. And then now I'm trying to figure out the shock mounts. So pretty much I just made these out of cardboard, cut it out of cardboard and made a design that I thought would work. But basically, that'll work perfect. So I'm gonna have to get some metal. I don't think I have any, but I'll have to get some metal to cut these out. I don't know what else I'll be able to do tonight, because I have to get metal, and I gotta let those bars soak in, so we'll see what happens. All right, so I found some steel, and this is what I came up with. So I just took the 2 tab cutouts that I made, and I traced them out onto this piece of metal and this piece of metal. So now I got to cut basically along the black on all 4 of them, and then smooth them out and drill holes, and those should be good to go to weld on there for the shock tabs. But yeah, I'll continue this tomorrow because that's enough for today. So it will be tomorrow now, and boom, it's the next day. So I'm out here. I actually started trying to get these bars loose. I sprayed them with WD-40, let it soak in overnight, and I've been heating them. I kind of wish I had a actual oxyacetylene torch, but I'm getting them pretty hot with the propane, and still isn't going. I put it in there and put this giant bar on there, and I was able to get it to move a little bit, but I haven't been able to get them to come loose, so I don't know what I'm gonna do. I mean, if I can't get them to come loose, I might have to cut these brackets off. Decided since I can't get those bars loose, I am going to put them back on like I did, and I took these brackets off, and I'm just going to reposition them down more to push the rear end back, because for the wheelbase the rear end has to be back a little bit, and I can't get these bars loose, so I'll just do it this way and get it where it needs to be. So I got them off. I'm just going to clean up the spot welds and then reposition them and weld them back on. I moved it back, so these are actually sitting a little straighter, and they're tacked on again, and now this is back further where I think it should be. So now I'll just do the other side. I got both sides tacked on, and now you can see with it up pretty far, like the bag's up pretty high, it actually stays pretty much in the center, which is way better, because before it was kind of rolling over and it was really close to touching here, which I think was way too far forward. Like I said before, as the suspension goes up and down, the wheelbase does get shorter, kind of. So maybe this will actually be better, because it doesn't seem to lose. Here, I'll see if I can. It doesn't seem to lose a ton when I let it down. It kind of stays in that same plane. So maybe by changing the angle of these bars or the brackets, it actually is going to make it better for when I lay it out. That maybe the wheelbase will kind of maintain a little better, which is probably good. So the only thing I'm totally not sure of is the pinion angle right now, but like I said before, if I have to, I can these bars are nice and loose, so I can lengthen them, move it back a bit to bring the pinion angle up, which I won't know for sure until I get a drive shaft, or at least get this thing set in so I can measure for a drive shaft. So now I'm gonna make those shock mount brackets that are right here. I have to start cutting those out, and I'll probably have to use a cutoff wheel, which is going to suck, so I'll spare you guys the agony and I'll just do it. Okay, I thought I'd keep you updated as I go. So here's two that well, this one I think was that first piece. I just cut a couple sections off. This is from the one with the 3. You can see here I got these two shapes pretty roughed out like that. And then this one I still got to cut all of this off, and this one I got to cut all of this still. And then once they're cut out to these shapes, then they'll have to get flap wheeled all nice into this exact shape, holes drilled, and be able to tack them on. So I'm just gonna keep doing this messy job. Okay, so there they are, very rough. So now I'm gonna go with the flap wheel and then smooth them out, make all the corners nice, and then once they all look the same, I'll drill the hole in the center and they should be good to go. All right, here's a little update. It's getting pretty smoothed out. Use that same piece of tubing to fit it. So it's looking pretty good. I still have to do the bottom side. This is pretty good. I gotta round this corner here and still round along the top, but it's getting there. So here they are, 4 brackets, all pretty much the same. So all I still need to do is mark, well, there's a mark there, and drill holes through all 4 of them, and then I'll take once the holes are all drilled, I'll take them apart and do any like fine tuning, cleaning up the edges, and then I can get ready to hopefully tack them on the rear end. All right, so there they are, all made up, smoothed out, drilled, ready to fit to the truck, which we'll do now. All right, I think we're gonna be okay. So this is what I ended up doing, taking the bracket and grinding this top here into a curve, and then if you look right here, that's kind of the shock mount, which actually looks kind of cool having that extra curve on there. I just gotta line it up before I tack it on, but that looks pretty good. So I think we should be okay. Like, I don't even know if when the truck's laid out, I don't even think it goes up this high, really. So that's good. If this is not quite bottomed out, that means the shocks will have lots of play. The other way, they just weren't gonna work. So yeah, so now I'll get those tacked on, do the other one, tack it on, and then it'll be time to pull the rear end out, and then I can weld her all up. All right, so there it is. It's out of the truck now. Shock tabs, lower bar tabs, airbag tabs, they're all tacked on. The next thing to do is gonna be to weld all that stuff. That's gonna have to wait till the next video because I'm hot and tired, and I've had enough of working out here today. But we're getting close. The axles will be here next week. I'm hoping by the time the axles come, the rear end is back in the truck. So I have a few things to do on the truck frame. I'm gonna probably reinforce these brackets here with some kind of bracing. And then clean up the frame a little bit, paint it up, you know, stuff like that before the rear end goes in, paint the upper and lower bars and all that kind of stuff. Be sure to tune into that in the next video, and like always, like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends. We'll check you later.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that, Tony. Don't slam the fucking door. No more.